I'm feeling a little shredded right now. I've been taking good physical care of myself for like the first time in my adult life. Living that clean life, no booze for 2 whole weeks now. Which
Wow, that is impressive.
in Andrew days, that's like a solid year. I mean,
That's a lot.
it is a lot. It's too much. But I'm feeling revigorated. I'm feeling a little bit more jacked. I've been doing a little bit of working out, getting my pump on, which, I gotta say, the movie today, like, definitely inspires me to be more pumped in a completely unrealistically unattainable way. But, one can
I get it.
One can
I mean, I learned early on that, that's not for me. I'm not gonna.
The thing is, like, I've been told this by a few people, like, I have the frame to just be a total beefcake, but instead, to quote a friend last night, I look like an NFL quarterback who's gotten old and gone to seed. And keep in mind, I am younger than two active quarterbacks by like a decade, basically. So that one stung the pride a little bit.
That hurts.
It
that
does.
hurts.
They were saying I was getting more in shape, which, like,
Fair.
partially a compliment. And maybe they were trying to, like, tough love motivate me to continue working out.
I would imagine being
bored.
being a beefcake like that. That's a full-time job.
It's got to be a full-time job.
Especially if you're trying to get to like Arnold status. Like that is all your obsession.
I mean, that literally was his full-time job until he
Yes.
started acting, and then it became just like a facet of his full-time job.
So I was listening to an Arnold Schwarzenegger interview, and I'm just like fascinated by Arnold. Love Arnold. My love grows more over the years. I like appreciate him now. But he actually, while he was bodybuilding, he said back then it didn't pay anything, and he was like flipping real estate and doing masonry work, and he was a millionaire before his like film career took off because he was a businessman essentially.
That's pretty fascinating and pretty awesome. Arnold's a treasure. I would say national treasure, but we don't get to claim him. Which is why we will never have President Arnold, unfortunately.
I mean, yeah.
President
but,
Schwarzenegger, I should say.
He's been a governor. He's lived here for so long. We can claim him. I think
he's
ours
been a
now.
governor of literally the largest state in terms of, I think, GDP in the country. Right? Isn't it California? Pretty sure it's California. Yeah.
Here's a good one for you. So now, this hippie girl who I'm friends with on Facebook, she posted now like dead babies and like, I guess, aborted fetuses. I don't know. Or just dead bodies. But I think it was all babies. They put them in these little boxes and they strapped them to these trees. And then the tree just like grows around them. So it's just full of baby skeletons.
So why are they doing that?
Because I think they think it sends it back to nature.
But like there will be like a skeleton within the wood of the tree, right?
Multiple, essentially. You've seen it where it grows around something. Yes.
So not only is this like a
baby
weird
corpses.
baby eating tree thing, but like it's also a mass grave.
It's a mass grave for babies. Yes.
Where are they doing
this? And it
this?
sends it back to the earth. But, I mean, the reality, and I was just thinking about this. I just couldn't stop thinking about it. Like, they're sewing little baby corpses into another living creature's, like, body.
I don't know if the tree wants that. I feel like the tree probably doesn't. If the Lorax could get his edge in right now, he would probably say the trees don't want babies as part of their internal structure. But
maybe
the tree doesn't care. I don't know.
Everyone's like, oh, it's so cool. I mean, I kind of get it where, like, a tree grows out of the body or whatever. They've crossed the line with this one, though.
Why don't you just, like, get buried in the root system or, like, get cremated and mixed into the root system's, the root ball's soil?
I'd say just
That's like way less macabre, is all I'm saying.
just
like,
feed me to the fucking pigs. Just quick and dirty. Like it achieves the same goal.
As a proud North Carolinian, I want nothing more than to be mixed in with some kind of pork product.
Just straight to the point, you know. We don't got 10 years for a tree to grow here. We're just trying to make this happen in like the next 3 hours.
I used to think I wanted to be mixed in, like cremated and mixed in so the tree could, like, I don't know, absorb whatever nutrients are left from there or whatever. But, like, being worked into the wood of the tree is pretty strange. Like, what if somebody cuts that tree down in 50 years to make a bench, to make a nice park bench, and they start the project and they cut into it, they start, you know, milling the lumber, and fucking the blade catches on... you know,
a baby
skull or
corpse.
whatever. This is a real weird fucking dark pathway we have gone down in this episode, folks. So my apologies. I'm going to apologize for bringing on this one.
It just popped right into my head. But
I mean, I'm glad I heard about it. But
here's the weird thing: all the hippies that I know were all like, you know, it had a lot of likes and hearts, and it's oh so sweet. It's going back to Mother Earth.
There's just so many other ways to be returned to Earth that don't, like, involve some kid in shop class 50 years from now cutting into a baby hip. I don't know. I don't know. Fair. I'm cynical. What can I say? I'm just like, I'm picking this thing apart. I'm sure it's making some people really happy.
They're happy, okay.
My stance is kind of weird. It's a little different.
It's weird. It's...
the
fact that multiple babies were on the same tree. That's
another detail. Like,
that sounds like the premise of a horror movie.
One baby per... It does sound like something out of a horror movie. One baby per tree. That's like... That feels more sentimental.
Still fucked up for the tree, though.
It is. The tree didn't consent to that.
Oh, did you see that meme that Troy sent us? Troy sent us a meme. Thanks, Troy. That's the kind of engagement we like to see here at Far Out Flicks. And
we love fan engagement.
We salute you, Troy.
Just think, if you engage with us, other listeners, not Troy, this doesn't apply to you, you're already in, but you could get the same kind of call-outs and recognition that Troy gets. And, I mean, people pay a premium for that kind of adoration. I would pay a premium for that kind of adoration. But anyways, welcome back to Far Out Flicks, folks. That was a long segment. That's okay. You like those long segments.
Having a little fun.
We are. This week, we are doing Predator. If we didn't kind of like hint at it a little bit with the mention of getting beefy, and also Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Arnold.
As our long-term listeners will know, I have been dying to do this movie for forever because it was my first rated R movie, and it's it's got a very special place in my heart for that reason.
It's the most, out of all the rated R movies you could see for your first one, perfect choice. I mean, I don't remember mine because it wasn't Predator. You know,
my dad thought so too. I think I've like told the story, but like in a cabin in the woods, my dad and one of my friends' dads, you know, after having had several whiskeys, decided that we were old enough to watch Predator, and we all had a really great time. I think it's a very fond memory for all the young men involved. Let's talk about. I mean, what do you want to talk about first with it? Gosh, I was going to say cast because I would just want to like keep talking about beefcakes.
I mean, that's kind of what I was going to talk about. It's out of any movie where you could just think of like pure masculine, like these giant jacked dudes like running through the jungle, mowing things down. It's Predator, maybe Rambo.
This is my favorite action movie of all time. It's number one.
It's badass.
I think it's perfect. I think it's the perfect action movie.
I mean, it's the go-to. Freaking Jesse Ventura with the chain gun.
Jesse the Bob Ventura.
Dude, so good. Another cast member who went on to become a governor.
So 2 governors, almost a third. Sonny Landham, who plays Billy, the Native American commando in this film, ran for governor.
We'll talk about Sonny Landham. He's pretty fun guy.
Yeah, but he also, I don't know if you heard what I just said, he ran for governor. They almost had 3 governors out of this movie.
It's insane.
It is.
So, for anyone who doesn't know, Predator came out in 1987. Science fiction film directed by John McTiernan and written by brothers Jim and John Thomas. So, Jim and John Thomas were just basically 2 ordinary guys who just worked a bunch of normal jobs, and Jim Thomas had the idea for Predator. And essentially it came out of this joke that was going around at that time that was Rocky Balboa had fought a Russian was he a cyborg in Rocky 4? Dolph Lundgren? Is that who it is?
I mean, he wasn't like a cyborg.
he was like engineered in some way though, right?
Yeah, there was like the implication that there was some like eugenics going on, and certainly like all state of the art, health science equipment and the perfect, fully backed by the Russian government training program that he was engaged in, versus Rocky, who just like went and fucking, was a lumberjack for a little bit. Anyways.
Sure. So a bunch of, Cold War propaganda, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, the joke was essentially that Rocky Balboa had ran out of opponents on Earth to fight. He was going to have to fight an alien next. And this guy ran with the script. He wrote it, essentially, and it was originally called Hunter.
Well, Predator sounds better, I'm just going to say.
And I know this has come up on the podcast before, but it kind of had like the most dangerous game vibe,
Yeah, I mean, man is being hunted, but as opposed to it being your fellow man who's just better equipped and really has set up this whole thing, it is a tribalistic alien who's in all he does is just goes around and hunts things. That's his entire existence.
That's the whole deal. He's a trophy hunter.
He's a trophy hunter. That's right.
And it's not like expounded upon much in this first film, but I do think at one point you see him like coveting like a skull of someone he killed.
Correct. And I mean, it also worth noting or jumping into, this film has spawned just so much like so much like crossover media, sequels. I remember like as a kid reading comic books, I had a Batman versus Predator omnibus, which was like so fucking sweet.
Hell yeah.
And then of course Alien versus Predator, which is like what everyone wanted, right? Like it's the two terrifying badass extraterrestrials of the 80s going head to head. Who will win?
And I think that also came from a comic book series, I believe.
It did. There's also Batman versus Alien as well, which has well, I won't spoil it. If you, it's cool. Check it out.
I don't think you're gonna spoil it. Just
well, Bruce Wayne's parents and I don't know. I might be mixing it up because we're talking like 2 decades ago or whatever. But Bruce Wayne's parents have aliens burst out of them. And
nice.
And that might be like just a nightmare he's having or whatever. I can't remember. That's a little dicey in my mind.
Scene there, though.
But you get the visual, like the the animator or the cartoonist, illustrator. There we go. That's what I'm going for. Or cartoonist. I think either works. Depicts the Waynes having chest bursters pop out of them, which is fucking awesome.
Nice. Pretty badass.
It's pretty badass.
So these guys, these 2 brothers, they wrote this screenplay, and since they had no credibility in Hollywood, they essentially couldn't get anyone to read it and through some back channel, basically like a friend of a friend of a friend kind of deal, it sounds like it got slipped under the door of this big wig producer, Michael Levy, who then brought on Joel Silver. And Joel Silver is a producer who's done a bunch of badass movies. He did Commando, so he already knew Arnold, and I think that's how they ended up bringing Arnold in. Die Hard, The Matrix, and this guy is also one of the inventors of Ultimate Frisbee, Joel Silver.
That's really,
really.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool, and apparently, Joel Silver's kind of an interesting guy, but in his office, he had a big poster of this Rastafarian warrior. And Stan Winston, the special effects guy on this film, was in Joel Silver's office and saw that poster, and that was the inspiration for The Predator. So, that's a kind of an interesting twist there that...
Is that why the Predator has dreads?
That is why. And I will not comment on whether that's racist. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't think anyone cares. Like Predator's pretty beloved, except I actually don't know like basically any women that really love this movie.
You don't.
I don't.
This is a manly. This is,
Not saying women can't enjoy it. They're welcome to enjoy it.
This is a very macho film.
Would if I bust out my Predator 4-pack DVD set, most women in my life don't want to watch it. But we're not. Hey, the sky's the limit. Do whatever you want. But yeah, it's very dude centric, kind of like From Dusk Till Dawn. One of our long term friends and listeners of the show watched that movie with his future wife, and partway through it, she was just like, "This movie isn't for women, is it?" Which
it brings up a valid point, though.
Yeah,
it's not the way I would have ever. That's why you need another perspective sometimes.
I think it's like right when they get to the trucker strip club.
That would be the part.
That would be the part.
With Cheech Marin and all that.
Yeah. And the dick gun. Dude, I love the dick gun.
Oh okay, my god, it's so funny. Oh man, I wanted to post a meme of the dick gun so bad.
Dude, we can't be shadow banned again. We can't.
Dude, it will definitely end us.
We can't. We're on the chopping block.
If there is any image that it might be worth it for, even though I say that every time.
Well, seeing as we got shadow banned for a picture of Francis Ford Coppola putting a gun to his head behind the scenes of Apocalypse Now, I'm what is and isn't off limits, I don't know.
The AI doesn't care.
The AI doesn't care. It saw a gun and didn't care for it.
So, Joel Silver got the director in, John McTiernan, who he did Predator, Die Hard, Last Action Hero, Hunt for Red October. That's a pretty good,
it's a rock solid
list
set
of late 80s, early 90s action films.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are pretty much like all of my grandfather's favorite films from that time period.
Those are good. Yep. Those are all super good. And, pretty acclaimed director. Knows what he's doing in this action genre. Later on, he did make the remake of Rollerball. I don't know if you saw that one.
I want to say yes, but it's not jumping straight to the front of my mind.
It's, it's me either. I can only envision the old original one with Paul Newman, I believe. But
I remember seeing a lot of ads in comic books for that film.
So he had a disagreement with the studio. during the making of that film, and he hired a private investigator to illegally wiretap their phones and ended up going to prison for a year. Not good. He went bankrupt. Had to lose everything.
That's fucking tragic, man. I mean, shame on him for invading someone's privacy, even though like our federal government does it literally around the clock now to every living citizen.
That's true. They should have just hired him into the, whatever they got going.
Dude, it's like a dude who works at Foot Locker, like they just love their job because they're all foot fetishists.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Same with somebody who works for the NSA. I think they like to be little peeping toms.
Oh, that's human nature, man.
I have no interest in like.
Dude, if you had that much power, okay. I'm not saying that everyone would, but I'm saying
I hear weird noises coming from fucking my neighbor's backyard. I'm not looking over the fence.
There's
none of my fucking business.
There's a percentage of the population who, given that much power, they're gonna look. And it's their
unless it was like
job.
If it was something sketchy, like it sounds like somebody's like pulping human flesh, or like the muffled screams of someone, then I'd go check it out. But like, if it's just like some dude's back there welding, I don't want to know about his killdozer. I don't want to implicate myself.
I don't want that to be on my responsibility now.
Yeah, dude, exactly. Because then it is your responsibility. But I mean, what if the killdozer's for you? Then you would want to have discovered the killdozer. I don't know. Lots of variables.
That is a lot of variables.
Yeah. This bizarre hypothetical situation.
The fucking killdozer. Okay, so going back to the movie, the Predator ended up being played by Kevin Peter Hall, who was also the Sasquatch in Harry and the Hendersons.
He is.
So he's just a giant human being.
7'2". 7'2". That's right.
That's tall. Is that like, that would be tall by any standard? Even in the NBA, that's like extremely tall, right?
Correct. You would be one of the tallest people in the league.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
But originally it was going to be Jean-Claude Van Damme in the suit.
Yeah, it was going to be like a totally different Predator, like as opposed to being the towering one that makes, Arnold look small by comparison. It was going to be all like nimble and kind of like a ninja.
So yes, that's what they envisioned for it.
Yes.
And when the director and the producers saw the suit that was going to be made by the company, Boss Film Studios, they signed off on it, but when it arrived on set, they're all out in the jungle, and they realized it was just like a giant piece of shit. So like that was also part of it. It looked totally different.
Like when you say it was a giant piece of shit, do you mean it looked like a giant piece of shit, like the Golgothan in Dogma?
The head of that Predator costume looked almost like Lord Grievous from like the Star Wars prequels, like the robot lightsaber dude.
Yeah, General Grievous, but yes, I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
yes, that's what yes. So that's what the head looked like, and they described it as like an ant's head or like a lizard. It kind of looked like a lizard, and it was just like honestly, the footage is so funny. It's on YouTube, but he's just like running around the woods, and like most of it doesn't really articulate, so it's just kind of looks like an old rubber suit from like the 50s or something.
Yeah, Jean-Claude Van Damme hated that experience. He didn't care for the suit. It made him too hot. He didn't care for the fact that his face wasn't going to be pictured at all in the film. But it's just like, of course you're not. I mean, you're playing the alien. Like, we're not. This isn't a Scooby-Doo movie. We're not unmasking the alien,
And he wasn't a huge star yet. I don't think he had that much star power on set.
I don't think that much. I mean, he did have some like famous martial arts films at that point. But I don't think he was peak Van Damme. Not just yet.
There's a lot of rumors going around of whether he like got fired or whether he quit. I think it just wasn't working out.
It's just one of those situations.
It just is what it is. I mean, he's 5'9", which honestly I do believe that when you Google some of these like action stars' heights, like Google Dwayne the Rock Johnson, Google his height. He's not that
I'll do it
tall.
right now.
You can if you want. I'm just saying he's not that tall. Like people, I think Jean-Claude Van Damme might be shorter than 5'9", is what I'm getting at.
Dwayne the Rock Johnson is listed at 6'5".
That is just a lie. I don't. I'm pretty sure that's a lie. Fight me. Come fight me, Dwayne.
Dude, he would destroy you. He would destroy both of us.
No, he wouldn't, because he's a nice guy.
You're right. He seems like a very, very genuinely nice human. Even though I did just like shit all over the Fast and the Furious earlier.
I mean,
so
I don't like his movies. I don't. I'm not. That doesn't mean I don't respect him.
Yeah, I mean, he's a physical specimen. But yeah, he might actually be 6'5", dude. He played college football at University of Miami, which like I do think that like college football players' numbers get spoofed a little bit, like by like maybe an inch or whatever. Or like at least there's the possibility of it, or it was a practice at one point. But I'm telling you, that dude's like, he's bigger than I am. For sure. Not just like muscular. Obviously he is way more muscular than like I have ever been or ever will be. But he's about my height probably. A little bit taller. Maybe.
Fair enough.
I don't know. Let's get him on the show.
I don't know. Come on, Rock. We'll do a The Rock movie. I don't know which one, if there's any that are super far out.
I mean, you could say like maybe the Scorpion King.
Okay.
Sort of. I love the Mummy franchise in general, even with the Tom Cruise one. Not including the Tom Cruise one. I just don't hold it against it. Anyways.
I haven't watched any of the ones without Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, man, he was out of the industry too soon. Even though he has.
No, he's back.
I know he's back.
In a huge way, dude. He's back. He's fucking back.
Is it like that huge of a way?
Yes.
Okay.
It's coming.
Good.
The Brendan Fraser Day of Reckoning.
Like Papa John.
It's gonna be bigger, man. It's gonna be bigger than Papa John's.
The quality is going way downhill. I've had 20 pizzas in the last 30 days.
It was 40.
Oh my 40. God, it was 40. Oh man.
The Brendan Fraser Day of Reckoning is coming, and all who wronged him. I feel like he's one of those actors who like came out and said he was sexually assaulted. I could be wrong about that.
He did.
I even feel like I read a rumor that like that's why he was like blackballed in the industry essentially. But
yeah,
I might just be making that up.
I think I saw something similar to that. What is like, quantifiable is that he was like ruined by his alimony payments.
Those will get you.
Dude, it was something unbelievably high. Just like completely not sustainable in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and especially for like an aging actor who's not aging super gracefully.
Well, I mean, is it because of the hardships of life?
That's a good question. I'm Team Brendan though.
I am too.
Everyone likes a good underdog. I'm here for it. But anyway, back to this fucking insane cast of.
It was $50,000 a month.
What was?
His alimony.
Oh, that's insane.
$600,000 a year.
I think there should be a cap on that shit.
Yeah.
Back to this insane cast.
Yes.
So, Jean-Claude Van Damme replaced by Kevin Peter Hall.
Yep, so he's out.
Giant Man, he's out. Next we have Carl Weathers, who I love Carl Weathers.
I know, Arrested Development favorite.
He's so good.
He's so good.
He's Apollo Creed. And
Also Apollo Creed, yeah.
he's Apollo Creed. That was his other giant role. Yeah, and he's amazing in this. Actually, he was a former football player, and I think he even like went into the NFL briefly.
Correct.
Yeah, so he's a pretty badass guy. Happy Gilmore.
Oh, yes. I just watched that a couple weeks ago for the first time in like a decade.
How'd it hold up?
I mean, it was still fun.
Of course.
still
Isn't that the one where he like goes to his grandmother's like a retirement home and there she's like part of a slave labor
Yes,
ring or something?
being run by Ben Stiller.
Yes. Yeah, that part's fun. I like that.
Yep.
Then we get who else do we get? Bill Duke, who is he plays Bill Duke plays Mac Elliott. And Mac Elliott is the character who always is shaving himself even though he's totally clean shaven. It's like a nervous habit or whatever.
He's dry shaving himself too. I guess the sweat
But
is
he's
kind of
always
acting as
sweaty.
lubricant.
It's a lubricant. It definitely is.
Well, they are in the jungle.
So I love his performance. Honestly, his performance was probably my favorite one, and he like slowly goes insane or whatever.
Yes.
He's fun. Then you got Jesse Ventura, who we already mentioned, who is also a very interesting character, was the governor of Minnesota for 4 years.
Very popular governor at that.
Jesse Ventura and Arnold Schwarzenegger, both extremely fascinating individuals with very long resumes, basically. But Jesse Ventura, he was a wrestler in the WWF. He also, I guess before that, in the Vietnam War, he was a member of the U.S. Navy underwater demolition team. So he was like a frogman, basically. And I believe that was a precursor to like Navy SEALs, but I could be wrong about that.
Just like between Jesse and Arnold, like one, just like again, just such shredded dudes. But they had this like intense kind of like rivalry as to who could be like more,
Manly.
more manly, bigger, stronger. So like one thing Jesse Ventura did was like he would get to the gym before Arnold and he would just drench himself like with a glass of water or whatever, just pour water all over himself to make him look like he'd just been like working out that intensely as he was leaving and Arnold was coming. So then like they both just started like to try and show up earlier and earlier to the gym in the morning to like one up one another, and it got to the point where they were like both getting there at 4 a.m. Another thing,
Those nutty guys.
another little trivia nougat. Jesse Ventura was super ecstatic to hear from the wardrobe department that his biceps were actually bigger than Arnold Schwarzenegger's. So, like, with that little bit of information, he went to Arnold and made a bet with him, like a bottle of champagne to whoever had the bigger biceps. He lost that bet, and it's because Arnold had told the wardrobe people to tell Jesse that. To tell them that, like, he actually had the bigger arms. Another little, like, workout fact, unrelated to, well, not unrelated, but including now Carl Weathers. Carl Weathers was, like, the only one in the group who just, like, waited until everybody else finished working out before he would go work out. Which is the smart move, right?
Do you think he, like, yeah, pretty much, if you're going to get into a dick measuring contest every time. Which is kind of what it sounded like it was, It
definitely does.
Yes, and then you also, okay, so you got Sonny Landham, who is Billy Soul, who's the tracker and scout of the group. He's the Native American who's, like, more in touch with everything that's happening.
Who is like the inspiration for the prequel, Prey, which is on Hulu right now.
Nice.
It's pretty sweet.
I should have watched it probably for this.
You should have. It's pretty cool.
It's pretty badass. And yeah, Sonny Landham is kind of a character. He had to have like a personal, I think for insurance reasons, they had to hire a guy to like follow him around everywhere and like keep him out of trouble because he like liked to drink and would do crazy stuff and like get in fights and everything.
Yes, known for his short temper and somewhat violent actions.
Yeah, and one story I heard is they were all at like a nightclub or something, and he was like, I guess, hammered and like sniffing and licking girls' legs on the dance floor and like crawling around on all fours.
That's pretty wild.
That's pretty wild.
Pretty out of control.
Allegedly, okay?
Yeah.
Allegedly. And then, yeah, after this, he didn't have a good run of it. He ended up going to prison for a few years and, you know.
Yeah, he was in family court, which was like one of his political stances, was like the defunding of family court from his negative experience from it.
Yeah, when he ran for governor.
Yes.
And,
which again, third governor.
He didn't win the. He did not win the party's nomination or like get very far.
He is also no longer with us, so.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Sonny.
R.I.P. Sonny. Then you got Shane Black, who is Rick Hawkins, who was the first person who dies because essentially Shane Black was a really popular screenwriter at that time. And he also wanted to be an actor, so they kind of did a bait and switch essentially where they hired him for this character. And then once he got down into Mexico where they filmed all of this on location, they basically cornered him and were trying to like, get him to like touch up the script.
And this was like, I guess, prior to Arnold getting there, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. Because Arnold was held up from other commitments.
Well, Arnold was held up, and they brought in a different guy who was David Peoples. And David Peoples is the guy who wrote Blade Runner, 12 Monkeys. So they actually had... That's the guy who rewrote it while they were waiting for Arnold. And I guess they just wanted Shane Black to look at it or whatever. He's not credited as, like, writing the script or anything.
Yeah, why would they?
But they do kill him off first, and they say that that's why.
Yeah, I think I'd actually... I mean, more or less the same thing. I think I'd seen that, like, Shane was, like, really brought in to just, like, kind of keep an eye on McTiernan.
Oh, interesting.
Because he was fairly inexperienced.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think he had only done really one movie that was called Nomads. So that's the director, John McTiernan. He had done Nomads, which was Pierce Brosnan's big breakout, essentially. And that movie sounds super awesome. Kind of a sci-fi. It's up our alley.
That's the kind of thing that we would enjoy.
So as far as the visual effects, we already talked about how the original Predator costume was a big pile of shit that looked like a weird Goomba from the Mario Brothers movie. I don't know why I'm using a Super Mario Brothers movie reference they're not going to get, but...
One of these days.
I think about those Goombas a lot and from that film. Because the Goombas in the original one or in the video game are little mushrooms and that. They're like giant lizard people. So
that's what you ponder.
That's what I think about. I think about the Super Mario Brothers movie way too often. But anyway, so they realized they were in big trouble. So immediately they tried to find like a new special effects team. Rick Baker put in a bid. Ultimately went to Stan Winston. He had done The Thing. Really, Stan Winston came into prominence with the special effects in The Thing. Then he went on to do The Terminator, Aliens, Jurassic Park, Avatar.
Some big names in there.
Some of the biggest names there are. He also did The Wiz. That's huge.
It is huge.
The Island of Dr. Moreau.
Which we agree is a better movie than Cool World.
Yeah, we talked about that before we started recording. I think we should possibly do The Wiz one day because that's pretty far out. The Wiz, seen it? Michael Jackson?
I actually haven't, but I have seen the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode based on The Wiz.
Nice.
I'd check it out. I'd watch it.
So essentially, Stan Winston was on an airplane next to James Cameron, and he was, you know, they had just come off of working on The Terminator, I believe. And essentially, I'll have to fact check that. But essentially, he asked James Cameron what the alien should look like, and he was like, mandibles. Definitely mandibles. So that's how that came into existence. Which the mandibles are sweet, and the alien design is awesome. And I think that's kind of one of the things that make this movie stand out, is the aliens, at least facial design.
Yeah. On the facial design, and one final cast member note, the voice, if you can, I guess it's a voice, of the Predator, the sounds the Predator makes and stuff, was done by legendary voice actor Peter Cullen. And he came up with the kind of like clicking and gurgles or whatever the Predator makes when he saw the face of the Predator, because it reminded him of a horseshoe crab. And he remembered as a kid turning horseshoe crabs over on their backs, and they would kind of gurgle or whatever.
You mean you tortured animals? Is that what you're trying to tell us right now?
I am giving his personal anecdote. I'm not saying anything about experience in touching horseshoe crabs one way or another. And anyways, they're like one of the simplest life forms. Anyways.
Doesn't their blue blood have magical properties?
It does. They're farmed for medicine.
Continue, though. Sorry.
But Peter Cullen is most famous for voicing Optimus Prime.
Okay. That's a pretty good check mark on the old resume.
Pretty sweet. He also voiced Eeyore in Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
nice.
That was my last cast call out.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah, related to
Peter
the face.
Cullen.
Yep.
Yeah, the alien suit's fucking dope, and I guess the Stan Winston studio was like the state of the art, practical makeup and effects. So that mask, of course, it's got like 9 little servo motors in it, and it's all remote controlled and stuff. Pretty badass.
It's pretty badass.
They brought in another studio to R. Greenberg and Associates. They did all of the, when he goes invisible. Which is essentially just a basic green screen technique, just, early in the 80s.
Except it was a red screen.
Yes. Yes. They actually... And there's footage of Jean-Claude Van Damme running around in this bright pink looking... It looks pink to me. But yeah, the entire alien costume, but it's just a bright pink or bright red.
It's because that best contrasted both the sky and the sky blue and the jungle green.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that is an unconventional, like, chroma key color or whatever.
Mm-hmm. That's one of my favorite parts of the Predator, is watching him stalk them with his badass thermal vision helmet.
Yes, that is the best part. Apparently, that's what the world looks like to snakes. It's just what they say on the internet. I don't know. Just passing it along.
How would anyone have any fucking clue?
I don't know. You count how many cones and rods are in its eyeball, and
that seems like a pretty wild approximation / theory at best.
So, some more fun Predator facts for our listeners. The Predator's blood, which was that bright green glowing goo, that was Vaseline and glow stick. So remember, as a child, you always want to break it open and see what's inside.
As a kid, I always was like, what is that stuff? But then you read it's glow sticks and KY, and it's like, of course it is. That's so...
Yeah.
But sweet effect, glow sticks are awesome.
They wanted to make it orange originally, which just would not have looked as cool.
One time in college, me and this chick went through a whole pack of different colored glow sticks, painting my bathroom with them in pitch black. And it's pretty awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. Fond memories. So anyways, getting to the plot. As always, we're going to spoil this. You all know that by now. If you don't know it, you could have guessed, because we've probably already spoiled some things. So, if for whatever reason you are here and haven't seen the film and don't want things spoiled, now is the time to
Just go watch it. What are you doing?
Go watch it and come back. You'll thank us later.
Yeah, it's a fun ride. So, the movie starts off immediately to let you know there's some extraterrestrial shit going down. You see a spaceship immediately. Well, if it wasn't for that, the first half of the movie is kind of just like a jungle Vietnam, you know?
It's not Vietnam, though. It's Central America.
True. That is true. Valid.
But so anyways, our cast of beefcakes, starting with Arnold, are introduced. And Arnold, who is Dutch Schaefer, Major Alan Dutch Schaefer, excuse me, and his military rescue team are like introduced. But at first, you know, Carl Weathers, who is a CIA asset, basically is revealed. He's the one who brought Dutch into the equation. You know, he said that Dutch was the best, blah, 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 blah. So anyways, let's just cut to the chopper. Because that is where the rest of the cast is pretty much introduced.
Pretty much. And yeah, like you said, we're introduced to all the cast. Arnold Schwarzenegger and his team of guys, they are rescue guys to evacuate people out of sticky situations. Well, they think that's what they're doing, and when they arrive at this guerrilla encampment, they basically see the guerrillas execute the hostage. And then there's Russian people.
Before that even happens, they come across 3 bodies strung up in the trees that have been skinned.
Oh, yeah.
And like a crashed helicopter nearby, I think.
It's always concerning when you find a body that's been skinned.
You should... That is genuinely concerning.
It's not normal.
It's not normal. It's not like finding Andrew's corpse in the woods after he walks off with dementia at 80. This is way worse.
This is way worse.
You should run. This isn't the elements. This is some sick shit.
That's a good warning. Good
Especially if it's strung up in the fucking tree, right? Like,
get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, get out.
Have you ever seen how people can skin a rabbit and just like slide its whole fucking skin off in one motion?
Yes. I have seen people skin rabbits like in one go.
Be pretty crazy to watch that happen to a human.
I mean, if you go on Live Leak, there's some things that are pretty close to that. Like, one dude got caught in a lathe, and he pretty much got entirely degloved.
Ooh, degloved.
Yes. Degloved is when the skin is ripped off your finger or hands, but, like, applied to the full body. Flayed is another word for it.
Fun times.
Well, I guess flayed is more like getting skinned. Well, that's exactly what we're talking about.
Sure. So they're in this guerrilla encampment. They bust in. Some awesome one. Did we mention this film has like the best one-liners of any movie?
It does. We can't say my favorite one. I want to say it. But, I mean, like, unless Braden commits literally right now to bleeping it out and me saying
it'll make you a sexual Tyrannosaurus, it's that one, right?
It is. It's the sexual Tyrannosaurus one, just like me.
That one's good. That one's good. I think that one, yeah. That one's classic. A little bit. Can't really say that these days.
Can't.
But whatever. I feel like you should be able to depict that in a movie.
Yeah, I mean, you're just telling stories. I guess you can do whatever you want.
But yeah, at one point in this guerrilla camp, fucking Arnold kicks open the fucking door. And when... moment of silence, everyone kind of gasps and freezes. And he's like, knock, knock. And it just fucking blows them all away.
Yeah, some other ones, when Poncho shoots the grenade launcher in the air and the grenades come raining down like into the little huts of these insurgents. He like tells Jesse Ventura to duck and he's like, why? And then, you know, it all blows up and he's like, that's why. It's another good one.
That's a pretty good one. My favorite. Arnold throws a machete. And it goes through this guy and sticks him to the wall. And he just says, stick around.
That's a great one, too.
That's a great one.
Another one. After this engagement, so I'm a little bit putting the cart a little bit in front of the horse.
It's okay. We could just get to it. I mean,
Jesse Ventura is like bleeding, and it's like either Hawkins, the dweeby-looking radio guy, or maybe it's Poncho. I can't remember which one. It's like, you're bleeding, and he's like, I ain't got time to bleed.
Yeah,
that's kind of been like my life motto ever since then. I don't have time to bleed.
I don't have time for medical care.
You should go to the doctor. As your friend and co-host, I'm advised.
I don't want to know.
I don't go more than absolutely required, but once a decade is a good idea.
But yeah, so from this guerrilla camp, there's this woman who they don't really explain this, but they essentially take her prisoner.
I think that they're just like, we can't leave her here because there's going to be more insurgents, and she was a hostage. And even though she's not like really our conflict, they're just going to...
She kind of knows what's going on. She's the one who informs them that there's like a monster in the woods that can camouflage like a chameleon or whatever. And Carl Weathers has a great line. He's like, "You're telling me that Hawkins and Blaine were killed by a fucking lizard?"
That is a great line. Yeah, she mentioned this, explicitly that like similar things happened around her village or whatever. This is not a first time, which like in the greater Predator lore is accurate. He comes here all the time.
What is the greater Predator lore? He's part of a species and they're all just big game hunters.
Pretty much. I mean, it depends on what we're going to call canon. Because then there's also Predators with Adrian Brody, which introduces we have our original like jungle hunter styled Predator, which is like what the Predator in Predator is, but then they introduce a like larger, taller, more physically domineering species of Predator that hunts in turn the smaller like jungle hunter Predator.
Oh no shit!
And then that movie also has
so it's a whole ecosystem.
Fucking Topher Grace.
It's a food web of predators.
I actually had a really fun time watching that movie. I don't know if I'm gonna like say it's anywhere as good as this film, but it was kind of fun, I guess.
They're trying out some ideas.
Yeah,
they're trying to
I don't think that's
on the
accepted canon, but like I don't know. Who am I? Predator 2 is like pretty skippable. Prey, as already mentioned, is pretty cool. I enjoy all Alien versus Predator, Alien versus...
Like I get the impression that the sequels and the franchise as a whole is not as like consistent quality as like maybe the Alien franchise. Like, Aliens was like the second one was good. Prometheus I liked a lot.
So Predator 2, which I think is a totally acceptable film, but it's definitely not as good as the first one. Predators, which came 20 years after Predator 2, to give you the kind of like, span in which there was a gap.
Wow, that is a long time.
So so Alien vs. Predator is 2004. Alien vs. Predator Requiem is 2007, and that film has like almost near instant child death, which is pretty cool. Ballsy directorial decision. But no, so there's Predator 1987, Predator 2 1990, Predators, the one with Adrian Brody, and the bigger Predators, 2010. The Predator 2018, which is a sack of shit. That's an awful fucking movie. Prey 2022, and then to go to the crossovers, we have Alien vs. Predator 2004, and then, as I already said, Alien vs. Predator Requiem 2007.
Interesting. Yeah, I just never got into the Alien vs. Predator. Like, I like both franchises separately, but that's also coming from someone who didn't watch the movie, so...
Aliens vs. Predator Requiem has like a human predator team up, which like part of me really enjoys. But like,
it's kind of interesting.
I guess they also have that in Alien vs. Predator. Now that I think about it, they do 100%. Anyways, spoiling all kinds of movies over here.
It happens here at Far Out Flicks.
We spoil.
But yeah, so at this point, it kind of turns into a little bit of a slasher film almost, as the Predator just picks off these macho guys one by one, essentially.
So Hawkins gets it first. Anna tries to escape. Hawkins, the radio dweeb, catches her. He gets blasted. He gets killed. They try to do like a search party. Blaine is killed by the plasma cannon, or the parrot cannon, because it sits on the shoulder. I always thought this was like just the coolest fucking thing about the Predator as a kid, was this sweet plasma cannon on his shoulder.
I think it is sweet.
It's like it articulates, shoots whatever he needs it to.
I feel like a lot of, I do believe the Predator may have made it a cameo in some of the Mortal Kombat games, but I feel
Correct.
like a lot of Mortal Kombat is Predator influenced. Like a lot of them have those kind of moves.
Yeah, Cyrax for sure has a shoulder cannon.
Then Mac, is that his character? Bill Duke's character?
That is Bill Duke's character.
He starts going insane, and which is kind of fun.
They have this scene where they just like unload into the jungle, and I remember
it's the best scene.
It is a fucking sweet scene. My the friend's father who watched the movie with us when it was my first viewing had a roaring good time watching them mow down the jungle with all. He was a huge gun nut, so
nice. Yeah, that's the best part.
That got him going.
Another bit of trivia about that is when they scouted the location, it was like a green jungle, and when they got there in autumn, all the leaves had fallen, and so they actually had to like basically build that jungle, even though they were essentially in the jungle on location in Mexico.
They should have thought about that. I would have thought about that.
I mean, maybe I would have assumed that like in the tropical jungle of like Central America or Mexico, you don't have like 4 seasons. Yeah, kind of. But
yeah, I mean, I guess it depends where in Mexico, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, of course. So Mac ends up killing this giant pig. Essentially, they all die one by one, and finally it's just Arnold facing off with the creature.
Well, we have to at least mention Billy's death.
Okay, yeah, his is fun. If
Billy's
not
death,
the dumbest one that I've ever seen.
It just sucks because we don't get to see it, right? And like again, that was like I think a big inspiration for Prey is like that we were deprived of like the scene of Billy fighting the Predator on the fucking log in front of that waterfall. Like that's what the people wanted, right? We wanted to see that badass Native American tracker, as he cuts his chest open with a machete, to symbolize his readiness and willingness to fight the Predator. But
pretty badass.
They just cut to a fucking different scene, and that's it,
Yeah, that was he was just like, oh, he's gone now.
Another little Billy fact before we like totally move past him for the rest of the podcast. Billy is, again, he's the tracker in the group. Early on, he says that like whatever's following them in the jungles isn't human. One of the things that like I guess you could point to is like what clued him into it is like right after the insurgent camp scene, he like hears basically his laugh repeated back to him from the jungle, but like a little distorted. Yep. But it is his laugh. Like from a conversation he was just having. So that's like cool little detail there. Like he picks up on it first.
Yeah, they don't explain that, but it's like, what is this alien, a minor bird or something?
Yeah.
It repeats what people say and uses that to mock them in a very kind of like self-aware way.
Well, it's obviously like very intelligent, right? Like its species has conquered interstellar travel. They have cloaking technology. They have plasma shoulder cannons.
Yeah, all that's pretty.
They do like shoot him at one point, and he like injects himself with this green goop also. Or I think it's orange goo when he injects it. And he like heals up. So he's got like a stim pack basically, which is pretty advanced.
Nice. Very nice.
And he's just bigger and stronger. They're just like better in every way than humans.
So at one point, they kind of figure out that maybe it's using some kind of thermal sensing, perception.
It's when like everyone else is dead and Arnold's in the mud, and it like walks past him because the cool mud is cloaking his heat signature basically, and he goes and collects his trophies from the other ones.
Yep, which apparently Mythbusters busted that. Man, Mythbusters taking the fun out of everything.
I hate that fucking show, to be honest. Like, I understand it was popular and people enjoyed it, but like one of them absolutely got in some serious sexually related legal issues. I don't know if he was a pedophile and if we can be sued for defamation.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say the one with the mustache.
I think it was the other one.
Oh, okay. I shouldn't never judge a book by its cover.
You shouldn't.
Really,
but I hate that show. I always hated that show. And then like a couple of the things that they debunked like were retested by other agencies and like proven to be accurate.
I mean, their methodology, they shared the methodology with the audience. It didn't seem perfect or, bulletproof.
It was, so Adam Savage was accused of sexual abuse by his sister.
Oh, that's not what you want.
No, that's not what you want at all. And he's not the one with the mustache.
He's the other one. Yeah,
he's the other one.
A vibe too.
He's the one that looks like every Redditor ever.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, you're right.
That is just, man, that's a pretty serious
I'm
allegation.
looking at him right now, and he looks like he's a moderator of at least 3 or 4 subreddits.
But yeah, so now we're down to just Arnold and the Predator. He's discovered that if he covers his body with mud, it obscures his thermal heat signature enough that the alien can't see him. So now he's kind of leveled the playing field in a way. And then he sets up all these booby traps, and he wins with some good old human ingenuity and a little jungle elbow grease.
Yeah, he actually uses the counterweight of his last trap to kill the Predator, so it's like the trap itself doesn't even deploy. He uses some ingenuity to make, a part of the trap kill the Predator, which is a giant log. He smashes the Predator with a log.
Pretty badass death.
And then he, Predator's mask is off. He's standing over it, triumphant, and he's like, "What are you?" And then the Predator repeats that back to him, and then just starts laughing as he...
laughing maniacally.
As he starts tapping some shit onto his Pip-Boy. Fallout reference. His arm amulet / computer. And then we get a crazy countdown and some, like, still like digital clock-esque format, but just with like crazy random characters.
Yes, and essentially he self-destructs, right?
Yeah, it's like a little mini like tactical nuke goes off, basically.
Yeah, that part's pretty sweet. And yeah, I don't know if we mentioned, but he kind of looks like the face of a crab. It's a pretty terrifying face.
Yeah, I guess that's pretty good. Looks like a crab face.
But yeah, and then Dutch runs to safety, and he's rescued by a helicopter. Anna's already on there. She's the only one who survived except for him.
Yep, everyone else is dead. And that's the movie.
Fuck, yes. I had a good time with this one. It's just pure fun,
Anyways, folks, that's it.
That was a good time. Love Arnold, the Governator.
He's becoming a Far Out Flicks regular, He's got at least two films in our archive now.
I mean, he picked some... The guy is no slouch, you know? He's incredibly intelligent. He picks good movies.
He picks great movies. He had a great fucking manager making sure only quality things came across his desk.
A millionaire before he even became a movie star. Like, he's just impressive all around. And he was also Mr. Olympia and all this other stuff.
He was Mr. Universe, wasn't he?
He was Mr. I think Mr. Olympia is bigger than Mr. Universe, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not like that. Despite how much we talked about beefcakes today, I'm not that invested in male bodybuilding. I went on a date with a chick in Colombia who was a female bodybuilder, and she was like super cute, but like legitimately her arms were like, I mean, just massive, like way bigger than mine. And again, like I'm not like in perfect shape, but like I'm also edging on a giant, you know, the giant physique versus the smaller physique, and this girl's arms are way bigger than mine.
Bet she gives a mean old fashioned.
Oh yeah, that's what I really like to lose in arm wrestling before I get yanked off.
I really love to have my dick just ripped off entirely from my body.
Clean
in
off.
one smooth motion.
That's how you get degloved, by the dick. They rip from the dick and it just pulls the rest of your skin off. That's not how I mean, your dick would come off first, for sure.
All right, folks. That's it for this episode of Far Out Flicks. Hope you enjoyed it.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, tell a friend, leave a comment. Facebook, send us an email, faroutflixpodcast@gmail.com. Subscribe to us or follow us on Instagram, subscribe, whatever. And of course, if you really love our content, please check out our Patreon. I swear we will eventually put some like legitimate more content
nudes on there.
Dude, if it'll put butts in seats, I'll get full frontal.
All right, Flickers. Till next time.